music was a part of my life always. There are small a cappella groups,
Right.
but there isn't a choir which does original music. When you work with other artists, it's like an exchange of ideas, exchange of different processes. You also get to learn a lot. I listen to music absolutely without any bias or categories or judgment. And I think that played a very important role in shaping the musician that I am. 1, 2, 3.
Hello and welcome to Notes and Chords, the Hindu series on appreciating music. Through conversations with seasoned artists as well as young practitioners experimenting with new formats across genres, we try and decode both form and technique to better appreciate music that we love listening to. In our earlier episodes, we've heard senior guitarists, a Carnatic vocalist, a multi-percussionist, a Nagaswaram exponent, and many others talk about their practice, the training and rigor that goes into making their art, and all the creative choices that shape their artistic work. Today, we're indeed delighted to meet yet another incredibly talented artist who has very quietly and consistently expanded the soundscape of not just Chennai but also India by building and leading a formidable choral ensemble that is sought after by many composers of our times. We have Kalyani Nair with us. Kalyani Nair is an acclaimed playback singer and stage singer who has carved a niche for herself as a composer and arranger. She is the co-founder, choir director and conductor of the Indian Choral Ensemble along with Karthik Manickavasakam. It's a 40-member group of vocalists and instrumentalists based in Chennai that brings together singers from all over India. Kalyani and Karthik lead the choir, and their ensemble has made a mark in blending rich melody with layered harmony to showcase the best of different styles of music. Kalyani's playback career started when she was 15 after her impressive performance in a Malayalam television show. And over the years, she has sung for many leading composers in India, including Vidya Sagar, Deva, A.R. Rahman, Iman, Ramesh Vinayakam, Santosh Narayanan, Sean Roldan, and Pradeep Kumar. Kalyani regularly writes arrangements for A.R. Rahman's Sunshine Orchestra and for many other independent music ventures. She has also collaborated with globally renowned orchestras such as the Budapest Scoring Inc., Fame's Macedonian Symphony Orchestra, Cincinnati Orchestra, Studio Orchestra of Sydney, among others. Today, we're very excited to have Kalyani with us to learn more about her work and artistic journey. Thank you, Kalyani, for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Our pleasure. So, Kalyani, you grew up in a military home. Your father was in the services, which meant that you spent a lot of time across India in different cities, which also means that you were exposed to very different sounds of music and very different art. So, what did that growing up mean to you as an artist, as a student of music?
So I think music was a part of my life always because my father was very fond of music. So there was always music at home. And yes, like what you said, growing up as an army kid meant that movement was always there for us, I think the longest we've stayed in a city was probably 2 years or max 2.5 years. Sometimes there have been times where we had to shift within just a period of 6 to 8 months. Right. So I think in the first 17 years of my school life, I would have probably studied in about 7 to 8 or probably more schools.
Wow, okay.
And cities. So from a very early on, I think I understood, although on one side there was this emotional struggle of leaving familiar things, familiar people, familiar places and memories behind. But I soon realized that, this goodbye was on one side and the other side was welcoming new things into my life, and we all as a family kind of always looked forward to moving to a new place.
Right.
And I remember that, every 2 years when we moved, I also changed as a person. The accent with which I spoke changed. My ideas of life, about art, music, food, everything changed because I was mingling with a new set of people. So I think this kind of helped me, understand life from a completely non-judgmental kind of a lens, because I was not rooted in any particular system. I adapted quickly to what was around me, and I think I was very open to listening. So I think that kind of reflected later in my music, the way I sang or whatever inspired me. I didn't have preconceived notions of any kind of hierarchy or biases towards any particular system of music. I listened to music absolutely without any bias or categories or judgment. And I think that played a very important role in shaping the musician that I am. Although I would say I did have phases of identity crisis.
Okay.
Because I'm a Malayali, but I have never lived in Kerala. So when I went back home to Kerala, I was different from the others.
Right.
But if I go, like my father mostly had north postings. When I go there, I am still not one among them. I'm still a South Indian.
Right.
So there was always this little battle within me where I didn't know where I belonged, because I felt I had a little bit of everybody in me. Right. I was like this amalgamation of different worlds. But I think this fluidity, kind of became my strength, because I feel my music is also like that. I don't think I can put my music into one particular category. So I think life taught me to be open to many different sounds, many ways of listening, and I think that's what reflects in my music.
No, I think you've beautifully captured your experience of being exposed to different
Yes.
people, places, experiences. At one level, it's very challenging, especially as a child. You're having to constantly adapt to a new setting. As you
Yes.
said, leave behind your friends, make new ones quickly,
Yes.
only to say bye again.
Yes.
At the same time, you make a very important point about how it made you open to all
Correct.
these different systems,
Correct.
ideas, including
Correct.
in art.
Correct.
So that already opens up so many windows for you as an artist who is looking at
Yes.
art from not just a particular vantage point,
Definitely.
but is able to
Definitely.
look at it more broadly. Great. Kalyani, you've been doing very well as a playback singer. Obviously, music directors are keen to tap your distinct timbre, your diction, your precision, and they've given you beautiful melodies. One decisive shift in your journey seems to have been your training with Augustine Paul in Western classical music. So could you tell us a little about what drew you to the Western classical system? And after that, I think it's fair to say you have been quite obsessed with harmonies, parts and chords and so on. So how did you make that decision, and how has that shaped your musical journey since?
Right. So I think, like I said, I was always drawn to music, but I never had the intent of pursuing it as a career. I was always, as a kid, more inclined towards academics.
Right.
And playback singing is something just something that happened to me incidentally. And when it started coming my way, yes, it was exciting. And I think in a way, it kind of offered a valuable space where I learnt a lot. especially, like I said, I've never had formal training in any system until I started playback.
Okay.
So, I was largely untrained, and playback did offer me a valuable space to learn, especially how to sing in front of the mic,
right.
how to express through lyrics, and how to understand what the composer expects of you. Those kind of things, it really helped me. But I think over a period of time, what happened is the entire process started feeling a little mechanical for me.
Okay.
Because especially in this era of digital recording, where everything is tracked separately. As a singer, when I go, there's nobody in the studio except the composer and me, and probably the lyricist. I don't share this space with a co-artist, with a co-singer, or even a musician. So somehow it just became like a job where I just have to go to the studio, learn a melody and sing it with lyrics and expression, and then I'm out.
Right.
Most of the times I wouldn't even remember what I sang. So that live human connection was missing so much, because back in those days where there was no digital recording, you had to rehearse with an entire ensemble.
Orchestra,
and the song kind of grows into you, and what you hear, like some of these timeless recordings that we hear, is probably the labor of all those things.
Right.
That is something that I was missing. I felt that, the magic that I felt in music, I didn't feel it here. And I didn't know why. But anyway, things kept happening. So I kept doing it. I just took it as a training ground for me. And I was still trying to figure out what I really liked. And all this happened while I was doing my college. So yeah, I didn't have basically anything to lose. But I think that's the point I met Agustin Paul sir. And I think that was definitely a turning point in my life, because I was introduced to Western classical system and choral traditions, which really fascinated me, listening to a group of 80, 100 singers singing in harmony, so there are different voices moving independently, and yet they create something very solid and unified, a richer musical sound. That was something really, really fascinating for me. And I felt the magic that I missed there, I felt that it truly lived here.
Okay.
So I think I instantly connected to something like this, and I loved that collaborated approach of making a particular sound or music, that breathing together, that kind of thing really attracted me. And also, once I started learning theory under Agustin sir, I realized how any arrangement could redefine, probably in deeper ways, or sometimes even transform a simple melody.
Right.
It has so much of power, and also I think the infinite possibilities that you can make by creating new chords, new progressions, new soundscape. It's just infinite. And there's so much thrill because you can go anywhere, know. So I felt that was very exciting for me. And also I think as a musician, I think as a listener, the way I started listening to music also changed. Because, when you're trained as a singer, almost exclusively your focus is on the melody. Right? You listen to the melody, you learn the melody, you learn how to improvise, things like that. Everything is very melodic centric. It's literally a horizontal line, right? But the vertical lines beneath it is something that goes in the background, which you don't pay attention to unless you are taught to listen to it. So I think Western harmony and arrangement and composition kind of brought my focus to that area. I started listening to how chords change the feeling of a melody. A certain set of notes, when you give it different combinations of chords, it can totally sound different. The impact it creates on the listener is something very different. So I think I started understanding music as a whole, like from probably a one-dimensional melody, I started looking at it as a three-dimensional, in three-dimensional space, you get what I'm saying. So I think holistically,
right.
I felt I was shaping something. And I feel what you're saying, with respect to singing, yes, you're one part of the creative process. But when I'm arranging or I'm composing, I'm literally shaping the sound and the musical experience of the entire ensemble that I'm working with, and also the audience.
Right.
So I feel, yes, it's definitely a bigger responsibility, and I think I have learnt it comes with a lot of deeper listening and probably acquiring leadership skills, But I love the idea of what I can do to blend 40 different voices or instruments, how to move them differently, yet keep them focused towards one musical goal.
Right.
So I think those are things which really attracted me towards arrangement and composing. So while playback singing happened on one side, I think I gradually drifted deeper and deeper into arrangement and composing. So I think it just went hand in hand. But also I think understanding of harmony helped me appreciate singing also in a different way.
Right.
Yeah, because
I think listening differently.
Yeah, I'm listening differently. So the way the melody hit me when before studying harmony and after studying harmony was very different. I think I was looking at melody also holistically now.
Right.
So I think that made a lot of difference. Yeah.
No, when you break it down that way, it's really beautiful, Kalyani. Because I was also thinking earlier, right? It's easy enough to be a playback singer for somebody who's
correct,
competent.
Correct.
And not to diminish the labor put in by the singer.
Correct.
But, you just go in, as you said, learn a melody, learn the lyric and sing it,
correct,
putting in your emotive
correct,
effects and so on. But for an ensemble, you're in charge of
yes,
dozens of people,
yes,
not just yourself.
yes,
you're responsible for the sound
yes,
that they all produce.
Yes.
But, for someone like you who revels in that magic
yes,
of the sounds that so many
yes,
people
yes,
bring together. I particularly loved how you said we breathe together.
Yes, yes.
And it reminded me of, this musician once saying that the word in Tamil for music is isai, which also means to be in sync.
Right.
Isai in this
yes,
too. So
right,
it reminded me of
yes,
that sentiment where
yes,
artists are able to come together, bringing in their individual input to the sound, but all focused on that one musical goal, as
yes,
you said.
Yes.
That's really lovely. Thank you for that. Kalyani, you spoke about how your training in the Western classical system sharpened you as a listener and also shaped you as a singer as a consequence of that. So could you give us a few examples of your songs, either in Tamil or Malayalam, where you're using some of the techniques? I know we're not going to be able to hear the orchestra here, but as a singer, how some of the choices that you made for those particular songs were also influenced by your training in Western. Because I remember in Cuckoo, your song Manasila Soorakate, where you do the interlude, the humming. The song is by Divya Ramani. And that's really a stunning bit of humming that comes in between. And it has a lot of character, and I wondered if that was also something that was shaped by your training, because everything is, straight notes coming very precisely.
Yes.
And so could you please give us a few examples of how your singing was shaped by that?
What you say about playback is true. Having a playback demands a singer to be versatile, because you are always singing for a particular visual, shaped by somebody else. So you need to fit into their imagination, right? You need to fit into their content. So that way it is quite challenging. And I think it's very important as a singer to understand how to shift genres seamlessly, having proper knowledge about tone production in each of these styles. Because the way you use your voice projection, your resonance, or how you shape your vowels, your breath, everything differs from style to style. Your vocal timbre,
right.
Everything changes from style to style. And sometimes if you just listen to something and try and imitate without understanding how physically that sound is created in your body, you can land up in some vocal strain, or sometimes even permanently damage your vocal cords. So I think it's very important for everybody to understand how your voice functions. And it's actually a very gray area, because, like for example, if I'm teaching somebody piano or guitar, the teacher can show you how your hands should be, how you should hold the guitar, how your posture should be. But as a singer, even if I'm teaching you, I cannot show you what happens inside my mouth.
Yeah.
So you totally rely on the sensations that are created while you sing. And it is not something that comes naturally. You have to be trained to bring your awareness to those senses, and it's got to do with, because you can't see it, you only need to feel it. And your muscles need to understand that this feeling relates to this particular process, so it's you have to make that correlation, and that's how you understand how to project your voice in different styles, how to use your resonance. So I think this particular study of vocal science and tone production is very significant in the Western system. Not to say that it's not there in Indian, but I feel, like stalwarts like Kishori Amonkar, Salamat Ali Khan, Bhimsen Joshi, M.S. Amma, all of them were impeccable in their technique. Because also I think those days there were no microphones.
Right.
They solely relied on their technique to project their voices. So I feel it was gradually passed on very systematically, but probably this is my belief. I don't have any this thing to prove it, but I feel that with the invention of microphones and things like that, I feel somewhere it lost the importance. And also I think it's the system in which you're taught. Like Indian system is taught orally. So,
Right.
A lot of emphasis on this vocal production somehow I felt kind of went to the background.
Right.
And probably getting into wrong technique, and that probably passed down. So a lot of singers, I feel, especially today, who do come from an Indian background are largely unaware of how your voice is produced. And especially when they get into playback singing, where they have to do a lot of different cross styles, they get into trouble.
And they don't have control over the pitch,
They don't have
right?
control. They're just trying to imitate what they hear, and you can get into a lot of trouble if you do it in the wrong way over an extended period of time. So what I'm trying to say is, Indian music had it intrinsically in it, but probably a proper science like how it is taught in the Western system was not there.
Right.
So that is something I discovered in Western, because I also kind of had the similar experience. There was a phase when I felt a little bit of hoarseness in my voice, and I felt fatigue and pain due to long hours of recording. And then that's when I started researching on this tone production and things like that. It is an ocean by itself, but it did help me a lot in seamlessly crossing over to different genres and styles.
Right.
Although what I learned under Agastyan sir was, was rooted in operatic singing, but I think the underlying science of tone production, breath control is universal across genres. You just need to apply it differently. What mostly changed, the science remains the same. I feel in genres what changes is how you use your nasal resonance, how you shape your vowels, how to thicken or make your voice thinner, changing your vocal timbre, things like that. But underlying principle of how your voice functions, vocal anatomy remains the same. And I think that really helped me in maintaining my voice and very easily shifting genres. So yeah, I think, to give you an example, I don't know. See, like for example, yeah, Manasala Suras Kata, it's a very simple yet beautiful melodic line with a lot of jumps also.
Yeah.
So ta ta ra ta ra ta da ra 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 ta ra ta ra ra ta da ra ra da ra 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 da ra. It goes like that, yeah. So, and if I were, this is probably a mix of both Western and Indian styles, the way in which I'm singing. If I were to sing something very pop, and I will always love you. So I'm using predominantly the same technique, but the way in which I shape the vowels,
right,
and maybe my vibrato, all those things change. So I think I learned how to use my voice in different contexts, and how to effortlessly sing in those styles happened because of Western training. Yeah.
It looks pretty effortless, but I'm sure a lot of effort went into getting there.
Yes.
Yeah, it's amazing to see how the human voice, produced with all this technique that you spoke of, can add so much character to sound. Sometimes you feel sound has personality, right, because of that person's voice. And in addition to the human voice, sometimes, as you said, the orchestration or the harmony really elevates the whole sort of sensory experience we get. And in your own work in Tamil film music, I remember Aga Sattanam Paakren, a very gentle melody. But if you go beyond the melody, there's this layered orchestration, I think, that Santosh Narayan has beautifully done. And I'm also reminded of your own project, Harmonize. I think it was around 2011,
yes,
right?
Yes.
On YouTube, we would all follow when you did absolute classics of Ilayaraja and A.R. Rahman, like Kandu Konden, and then Kannan Vandu Paadugindran of Raja. Yes. And you added harmonies and with a very simple setup.
Yes.
So in a way, in retrospect, it looks like that was a prelude to your ensemble
100%,
direction.
100%. That was the time I was, deep into the study of harmony. And I think that is probably the time after I finished my 8th grade of theory, Western theory, right, from Trinity. And all I could think of was, exploring new music through different arrangement ideas. So that time I was not used to composing anything new, right, but what I would do is whatever songs I'd like, I would rearrange it for voices. So like what you said in Harmonize project, I think Kandu Konden and Uravugal, all those are songs which I arranged for a 5-part voice and bass. And I think those were received very well. And I think that kind of also made me understand how a simple rearrangement of a classic touches people in a different way, So, and their response was definitely, I think, one of the reasons that later made me start the Indian Choral Ensemble. Yeah, definitely. I think that gave me a lot of confidence because, like I said, I was just experimenting, and at that point, that kind of response was definitely encouraging and helped me dive deeper into this. And after that, a series of other things happened because we were working with Santosh and Sean Roldan. All of us kind of started together, and we all had kind of came from the same school of thought. We liked arrangement a lot, we started working with orchestras abroad. There were a lot of songs in which I did a lot of vocal harmonies, vocal centric. Agasatha is one of them, Sendumalli, a lot of songs which are heavily, have a lot of vocal parts in it. So I think that kept happening, and that went on for a long time, composing background music for films using orchestras and choirs. And I think at this point, I think I should explain what exactly arrangement means, because
I was going to ask you.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people, I've been using the term arrangement, so I think I should make that clear. So in very, very simple terms, as the term suggests, arrangement is organizing musical ideas across voices or instruments in an ensemble. It's as simple as that.
Right.
So now musical ideas could be anything. It could be a melody, it could be a texture, it could be a rhythm, it could be a rest, which is silence, because silence also has an effect,
Indeed.
right?
Yeah.
So it could be any of these. So how I decide to give a particular part, like I might give a melody to a particular section, I might give texture to another section might be at rest, something else percussively might happen with another part. So, arranging your musical ideas across different instruments of an ensemble, in simple words, is arrangement. And there are different, I should say, intensities of arrangement. Like a simple arrangement could start with very faithfully transcribing what you hear for a particular ensemble.
Right.
Which is kind of something that I did in Harmonize. Like some of the songs, I don't even think I did anything out of the blue. It was mostly what I heard in the original recording. I was transcribing it for voices.
When you say transcribing, you mean notate it and...
Yeah, I don't think probably here and there I would have changed the chords here and there, but largely it followed, the original recording. That was the guide. So that is like the most basic task involved in arrangement. A slightly more complex thing would be probably subtly, recoloring the original melody, where, you might have probably a different intro. An intro is something that you have created, and then that flows into the song, something like that. I'm not able to quickly remember what I did. I think there was some Nora Jones cover, Sunrise, or something like that. So here and there I had created some original motifs which flew into the song. So that has a bit of what, a few motifs that I composed flowing into the original song. So this is how you would subtly, recolor the original. So this is like probably, if you call it, a second stage in arrangement. A third stage would be something very drastic. For example, it need not even match the original. You kind of go to the extent of arranging it so extensively that it doesn't even sound like the original.
Right.
So the scope in arrangement is so much. Yeah, and I think from 2011 till about 2020, about a decade, I think I was involved in all of these capacities as an arranger. And so I think it served as a perfect training ground for me to what I later started in the Indian Choral Ensemble. Now, in Indian Choral Ensemble, for practices, we do take cover songs, we arrange it, but as a repertoire, we have a complete 2-hour set of original choral music. Yeah. And I think arrangement only led me, my job profile as an arranger helped me get that technical confidence and the courage to delve into composition. So I think it just eventually led me there.
The arc is quite fascinating because you start as a playback singer, and in Harmonize you're choosing classics where, okay, there's an element of nostalgia, but
Yeah,
also
yes.
introducing bits of novelty,
Yes.
which you bring
Yes.
as an artist. Then building up more on the arrangement part,
Yes.
and then also building up in size and
Yes.
expanding the ambit of your work.
Yes.
Quite fascinating. So you spoke of arranging and what goes into the process, Kalyani. So could you take us through, choral music scene in India? Because there are some symphony orchestras that work here, but you also listen to church music, which is choral. And we've seen Indian composers, especially in the Ilayaraja era, a lot of harmonies that get into film music also. So what's the Indian choral music scene like through these different spaces?
As a common man, if you ask this question, how do you view choral music? I think they would say church music.
Right.
Because largely, I think that is the impression that people have. When you go for a Sunday mass, what you sing is choral singing, is what they think. Probably slightly more informed listeners who are aware of Western classical repertoire, they probably relate to works of Beethoven or Mozart or Handel, Bach. They call that choral music. But identifying choral music as a complete, flexible, expressive genre of music, that idea, I think, is largely unfamiliar to most part of the country. Because, and also I have found that there is a very deep confusion in the word choir and chorus. People think chorus is choir.
Right.
They say they are chorus singers.
And
but
use it interchangeably.
Chorus is probably a singular melody which is sung by a group of voices, to probably amplify the intensity and to bring that larger color. But choral music is a much deeper and a more nuanced genre which involves multiple melodies, multiple parts sung simultaneously to create something unified, another unified musical form. So it's a lot deeper.
Right.
So I think there itself, there is a lot of ignorance amongst people. What you pointed out is right, because composers like Ilayaraja, A.R. Rahman, MSV have all used choirs in their songs. But we have heard a cappella songs in Tamil film music. There are a lot of background scores which use choirs. All that is there. But still, I think how people identify choral music as a genre is not an idea acceptable to them, is what I have felt. Because we face this challenge in even explaining people what we do. When I say I'm a choir conductor, they don't know what I do.
Right, they think you make 10 people stand and move your hands and get them to sing.
Get them to sing a line. It's not that. And I think in the last 4 years that we've existed as the Indian Choral Ensemble, it took us a while, especially the first 2 years were very difficult to even define what we were doing. And I think over a period of time, Karthik and I were convinced that, I think this is the vision of TICE. We want to take choral music to a common man. We want them to relate to choral music as any other genre. Even it need not be sacred music associated with choir, or it need not be Western classical repertoire associated with choir. In fact, in India, I don't even think there are any, there are small a cappella groups, but there isn't a choir which does original music. So I think that was our endeavor when we started this. We wanted to take everyday themes and subjects which people are familiar with and present them as a choral song.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think that was the whole idea behind this. Yes, I think it is still a challenge, but I think the more people get exposed to it, they understand the impact that a choir can create.
Right.
You know, over the last 3-4 years, I think last 2 years is when we've been actively performing, and I can see that mindset changing. You know, in fact, what started in my house as just fun jam sessions, that time we didn't even know we were heading towards forming a formal choir. But it happened, and we realized that slowly when composers want to hire us for work, they are largely looking at capturing that performance element of ours.
Right.
You know, because they understand the depth created by so many voices together. So yeah, although there are composers who've done it in small phases, we are also trying to do that. So I think although composers of yesteryears have attempted in taking this form to people, I think it's going to take a little more time for people to accept this as another genre, just like a pop or a Carnatic
And
or
get used to the
Hindustani, get
idea.
used to the idea. Yeah.
I think, as you say, the more and more they listen to that original music
Correct.
from a choral ensemble, especially live,
Yes.
because you're seeing the number of voices that go
Yes.
into making that sound, right? I'm sure, yeah, people will warm up to the idea, and yes. So you spoke about working with other composers, Kalyani, that they hire you as a team to, incorporate that sound, that performance element. So in terms of a creative process, what's the difference for you when you're working with another composer who wants your work to be part of theirs, and when you are writing original music for your ensemble and for a live performance?
Yeah.
Or
I think both the processes require a very different mindset and a creative approach. On one hand, when you're collaborating with another composer, probably on their film or their song, independent song, or whatever project that is, you are kind of guided by their vision. So you are trying to align your ideas to their emotional intent of the project, right? So I think listening to them, understanding, interpreting their ideas, and how you as an arranger can help them shape their vision is of primary focus. Yeah. So whereas I think when I work on a completely independent and original idea, there is no external brief. You know, I'm completely on my own.
the canvas is all yours.
Yeah, it's all mine. In fact, sometimes it's a little intimidating because you don't know where to start. At least there you have a direction, somebody is directing you. Here it's an absolutely blank canvas. So in very simple terms, to put it across, I think I would say when you're co-collaborating with somebody, whether it's on a film or on another composer's project, you have a basic outline which is drawn, and you are free to explore within that. I can choose whatever colors I want,
Right.
You know, any texture that I want. So there is there seems a somewhat a restriction, but inside that you're free to explore,
Right.
You know. So there's some kind of a guide within which you function. Whereas when you're doing an independent work, it's a completely blank canvas. You know, I could start anywhere, end anywhere. I could do any form. I could choose any language, any soundscape. There is nothing that stops me.
Right.
So both are liberating in different ways, but I think the process differs. You know,
Yeah.
there it's more of a collaborative process where you understand their brief and you co-create.
Right.
Whereas here, it's probably a deeper dive within
More
yourself.
inward looking, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And I think as an artist, we kind of, we look at art as a tool of self-expression. You know, so I think it differs that way, but both are exciting and challenging in their own way, and I enjoy both.
I'm sure it's challenging. I mean, each process will have very specific demands
Correct,
from you
correct.
as an
Correct,
artist, right?
Correct, correct. And also, see, when you work with other artists, it's like an exchange of ideas, exchange of different processes. You also get to learn a lot. So I think I like both the processes.
Right. And I'm sure one enriches the other as well, right?
100%.
Yeah, yeah. Great.
Nam tam tanam tanam tananam tam tanam tanam tananam tam nam tananam tananam tam nam tananam tananam tam nam tananam tananam nam tananam tananam tanam tam tanam nam tananam tananam tanam tam tanam nam tananam tananam nam tananam
That was so beautiful, Kalyani, quite magical. Thank you all so much. We know that magic happened. So now I'm going to ask you to break down the magic. So we've only heard terms of, vocal ranges like sopranos, altos, tenors, basses. But please tell us what's really going on here and how that sound really came to be.
Yes. So, in the most basic sense, you can divide voices as low and high voices. And because we have like a male section and a female section, this concept of low high happens in both the female and the male sections. So in the male sections, the low voices are called the basses. Here Neeraj and Sham are our basses. And then comes a slightly higher voice in male section, which are called the tenors, Shiv Sundar and Chirag. And just above that is the low female voice by Shruti and Ananya. And then we have sopranos, which are the high voices. We have Sushmita, Alisha and Aparna. Now SATB, which is sopranos, altos, tenors and basses. This is like the most basic subdivision, but in our choir we kind of further subdivide each part into 2 or 3. Okay. So in this particular song Namtam, we have actually 3 soprano parts. Okay. So there's a soprano 1, there's a soprano 2 and there's a mezzo. So soprano 1 being the highest and the mezzo being the lowest, and then we have alto 1 and 2. Again, tenor we have 1 and 2, and I think in certain places we have bass 1 and 2. So basically, if you see, this particular composition is almost a 9-part harmony running. And there are places where some parts sing the same voicing, the same pitch. And there are places where all 9 of them are singing completely different stuff. Right. So it varies in intensity based on the composer's choice on how he wants to use it.
And I suppose the way they're able to also at some level tune out from their neighbor and then sing their own part.
Yes.
How does that comes with training, is it?
Yes. So we work, this is where the concept of harmony comes in. So harmony in the most basic sense is vertical harmony, which means it's a stack of notes put one on top of the other. Right. And the basic, intervals in which these notes are put create certain kinds of chords. And I think by now they kind of know how it sounds. What is the sound of a major chord? What is the sound of a minor chord? Right. These are different types of chords that we have. So you just tune and the placement of your note in that particular chord. So choir singing essentially is a constant endeavor to individually keep your part and also listen to the entire group and know the context where you come in as an individual. So it's a constant listening and singing at the same time. Because if I break this down actually, if part by part, some of the parts sound very mundane. In fact, it won't even make sense because it's probably not the melody there. It's probably supporting the melody, and it might sometimes sound awkward by itself. Right. But the whole magic happens when everything combines simultaneously. It creates a larger, a richer musical sound together. Now, for example, to break it down, maybe from this song we could do section A1. Yeah, so I'll probably demonstrate with one section in this composition what each part does and how it collectively impacts the total sound of the composition.
Sure. Num tum num num tananum tum num num.
So there's just one part. Okay. And then let me add in first tenor to this. Okay. 3, 4.
Num tum num num tananum tum num.
So if you hear, they have a few movements. He has like a kind of a drone which holds the sa. Okay. And let me add the second alto. Yeah, you have the melody, right? So yeah, we'll add the second. I'm going to add the melodies later. Sure. So that you know what's happening. So yes, adding the alto 2 part to this. 3, 4.
Num tum num num tananum tum num
So this part of the composition mostly is there are couple of melodies and there are textures beneath it which support the melody. So all of them are doing textures. She's doing a sa, both of them are doing like a sa drone.
Okay.
Yeah, and then let's come in with mezzo. Yeah, 3, 4. So they are all doing textures. Now I come in with the first melody, which is the main melody of the song, sung by the first alto. 3, 4. You see how it starts making sense? Yeah, so this is the first melody. And then the second tenor comes in with another melody. We'll see in the next loop. This is the second melody. Right. Now there are two more melodies that come in from the sopranos simultaneously. So this is what is happening. So this section of the song is inspired by Kalavati Rag. So all the melodies that you see are kind of derivatives of that rag, which I kind of arranged in this drone kind of a thing. Yeah. And then the next section is a small development of this. Can we sing the section A3? Now certain parts you'll hear, like certain melodies shift parts. Yes. Like for example, part that the sopranos are singing, tanam tam, that is kind of taken over by the tenor. Okay. So you'll hear that little shift. Right. And that kind of creates an interesting interplay where a same melody sung by the sopranos sounds different to how the tenors project it. Right. So you'll hear like an interesting soundscape being built just by the shift of melody from one part to the other. Okay. So that's often a technique that we use in choral music, mainly to re-emphasize a melody and also to create a different sonic soundscape. Right. Yeah. So let's go to section A3. 1, 2, 3. So this is what happens. So you see the soprano melody has kind of developed from the previous one. Right. Her melody has been interchanged, and suddenly there is a percussion element that comes in because can we just listen to the bass and the sopranos here? Section A3. 1, 2, 3. Do you see that interplay? So they kind of come in on the downbeat and they come in on the off to create that kind of a feeling. Percussive feeling. Yeah. So this is like a very basic
run through of. No, this is amazing. The layering of sound, yes. And then the interplay also, the shift. Yes. And I think in the piece itself, after this segment, there's also a color shift. No, what?
Yes. So actually, right from the end of this section, actually there is actually no ma in Kalavati. Right. But then because I didn't stick to a rag, it is just an inspiration from that. I kind of develop it. So the second section, there are a lot of other notes which are not in Kalavati, right. But this theme, this hook keeps coming back. Indeed, and also I think this song is slightly away from most forms. Like for example, usually a contemporary song will be in like a Pallavi Charanam or maybe like a verse chorus format. I think this song alone, I don't know how, but doesn't fall into any of those systems. There is a hook in Kalavati, and then there are 2 other sections which are development of that. And then each time after that finishes, we come back to the Kalavati hook. So, and the second half of the section is actually where the first lyric, or probably the only lyric, comes in.
Right.
Until then, it's just namtam. It's just built on the sounds namtam, used in different forms. Sometimes it's a drone, sometimes it's percussive, sometimes different melodies start at different points. So this is where we kind of call this polyphonic texture. That is, the melodies don't start and end together. They start at different points and end at different points. Like for example, maybe we could do section B. 1, 2, 3.
Nam tam tam ta nam 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 tam tam ta nam nam.
Yeah, so did you see? So the first melody is initiated by him. Can you sing your melody alone?
Nam tam ta nam nam.
And then the melody goes there.
Nam tam ta nam nam.
So this is like a call and response. Where the melody is initially thrown by them and then they pick it up and complete it. While these two dialogues are happening, there's an alto part which has another layer of melody singing. Can you sing that? 3, 4.
Nam tam ta nam 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 tam ta nam nam.
Yeah. And this idea is built when the second soprano adds a higher part just to give it more intensity. So now you will understand when you hear it now. We'll go through the section B one more time. 3, 4.
Nam tam tam ta nam 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 tam tam ta nam 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 tam ta nam 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 tam ta.
Yeah. So this is what is happening here.
Sound, you're stacking up notes and here this, but also time wise.
Yes, everybody is at a different place. They start on a 1, they start on a 2, and she has rests in the first. Rest also plays a very important part in choir, So she comes in the second half to build, the composition.
Actually, it's quite amazing to think of all that's going on, but we get a very finished and polished version of sound.
Yes.
And
so the tricky part is how you want to keep certain things in the forefront and certain things in the background. Right. And I think that is where the job of a conductor comes in, because when you're standing there, you cannot really judge.
Right.
Because like for example, the distance between them is so much. He wouldn't know what exactly she is singing, or the intensity with which she is singing. Similarly, the same goes the other way also. But I am right in the center, so I get the proper balance. So I can tell who needs to be more and who needs to be less. So in certain cases where you obviously, the most eye-catching thing in a composition is the melody. Naturally, your ears, a listener's ear tunes to the melody. You want to hear the melody, and the other things just make context with the melody. So we keep the melody in the front. Now when there are interplay of melodies, like in the first section that I showed you, the first alto comes in. So that's her highlight. She's the only one singing the melody. Once he comes in, she automatically tones down a little bit so that his melody comes out more. Similarly, when that comes in, their melody shines. So it's about giving space to each other. To put it simply, like how you have different lanes on the road to ensure that there isn't a traffic jam. Imagine everybody going on one, it'll be a total chaos. So it's just you provide different kinds of lanes. So, somebody who's going fast will go on the right lane, a pedestrian will go on the, pavement. So similarly, we create different lines, and in choir music, we usually do it with frequency distribution. So where the basses lie, they mostly cover the lower range. Each voice actually has about 2 octaves of range, but we entirely don't use that up because there are a lot of overlaps. Now, where the bass starts, where it ends, the tenors have already, it is their range. And similarly, the tenors and altos have an overlap. Similarly, altos and sopranos have an overlap. So, you kind of, when you are playing around with melody and an arrangement idea, you distribute the frequencies in a way that decisively you choose what to project and what to keep in the background. So that is what is very important in arrangement, because otherwise it will be very chaotic. You won't know what you're looking for.
Sure, your foregrounding sound.
Yes.
And the way you say it, Kalyani, it looks like, or it seems like, you have an entire keyboard or all the guests contained in their voice.
So when we work with a mixed voice ensemble, which consists of both male and female, you're almost working with like a 3.5, or even 4 octaves sometime.
Right.
Yeah, so it's like a huge range of octaves that you're working with.
Among them, they're able to cover all that, right?
Yeah, individually they may be able to cover about 2.5 octaves, but with human voices, or for that matter, any instrument has its most resonant register, and we in the choir like to highlight that. So the same note sung in different parts sound different, because it lies in a different place in the register of that part. Now, for example, if I ask the altos to sing a C, this is how it'll be a nice warm sound. Whereas when the same pitch, exactly same pitch, is sung by the tenors, it's somewhere in their mid-high. So the intensity with which you receive the note is very different. And that is where you kind of play around with the decision of who to give that part to, depending on what color you want to create. Yeah. So can we just listen? 3, 4. It's a nice warm sound. Can we hear the same thing in tenors? 3, 4. It has little more attack. Yeah. So this is where you have to be. Why you're choosing to give a certain part to a certain melody to a certain part depends on things like this.
Decisions like that. Okay, lovely. So, Abhi, this is your original composition, Kalyani. You've had everything to do with this. Could you also show us an example of any popular film song that you have tried to, harmonize and...
Sure. I think, yes. I think Agasata was probably one of my first works where, there was an intense string and vocal arrangement that I wrote. Right now, I think we'll present an adapted a cappella version of the song, because we don't have strings. And probably I'll try and break it down for you as to how a simple idea can work for any kind of ensemble. Sure. You can make this idea work for a choir as an a cappella. You can make it work for strings and voices. You can make it work for a full orchestra. So it depends on how you want to present the sound. Yeah. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Thank you so much, Kalyani. That was so gorgeous. I think you've used voices here where originally strings were used, right?
A combination of both. So because this is performed as an a cappella, certain string parts I adapted it for voices.
And superimposing sounds. And please take us through what you've done here.
Yes. So we'll go to the Charnam one more time. And so what was actually played by the double bass in the song is being done by the basses.
Okay.
Can you sing your line? It's like a typical walking bass. 1, 2, 3. This is their sing. At the same place, there's a percussive element added by the altos and the first tenor.
Okay.
So let's hear how these two things happen together. 1, 2, 3. So this is essentially what happens in the strings.
Okay.
And then the next, what the sopranos do is like a combination of the voices and the string parts together.
Okay.
So let's add the sopranos to this. 1, 2, 3. So this is what happens. And so usually the basic rule, like I said, you kind of make way for the melody to come in. So in the first stanza, it starts with the male. So this arrangement is appropriate for the male because it gives a kind of space in that range in which the melody appears in a male's voice.
Okay.
The second line is sung by the female. So there the voicing, we call it voicing.
Right.
Voicing are different ways in which you can rearrange the notes of a chord.
Okay.
So the voicing is changed a little bit more so that in the second phrase, the female, the melody comes out a little bit more.
Right.
So let's put the melodies together and you will, probably let's do one thing. Let's sing without the melody first, both the lines, and then the second round we'll add in both the melodies so
Okay.
you'll understand. Slightly faster. 1, 2, 3. You hear the difference? Yeah, now let's add the melodies to this. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so this is what is happening.
Right.
This is how you kind of make space for, like I said, what you want to put in front and what in the background. So a lot of percussive elements happening here, a lot of melodies happening in the upper parts along with the main melody. Following section of the song is also very interesting. It is built on the relative major key, which is an F major, so it has a full major kind of a feeling. So here again, there's a combination of drones.
Okay.
Drones as in long held notes, mostly the same note.
Same note.
Or very little movement. And then there are 2-3 melodies which kind of overlap and create how the recording sounds. So I'll just
Right.
demonstrate that. Basses and the tenor singing. We'll go part by part. We'll keep adding as you go. 1, 2, 3. You see the same note, long held note?
Right.
Add the other part. You see how the interval creates
Yeah.
a nice feeling. Yeah, now we'll add the first melody. This is a melody and a part over this created by the alto. You see, and then there's another melody which happens in the, keep continuing, in the sopranos. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. One more loop. You see the placement of each of the melodies is at different places,
Right.
which kind of creates this unified, yet independent but unified sound.
Right.
Yeah. So, use of different melodies and different percussive ideas, how you can build an arrangement. It's a very simple melody, but I think the melody becomes even more beautiful when there is a solid arrangement and an intent behind.
Sure, and the arrangement is anything but simple. It's simple when you
Yeah,
make it
it's a simple
accessible that
stuff.
way.
Yeah.
But when you're stacking up so many
Yes.
sounds and,
Yes.
everything has to come together
Yes,
properly. Amazing. Thank you for that. So one thing that I was reminded of when they were singing Kalyani is how you earlier explained that, the way you pronounce your syllables, when you take your breath, you synchronize
Yes.
all that as well. So,
Yes.
so clearly that also contributes to the sound production, right?
Yes, in any kind of ensemble setup, I think the blend is the most important thing because different people are doing different things. So it needs to blend, only then it kind of makes sense. And with respect to voices, the blend, if I break it down, the blend means the right tone production. It means the vowel shaping and the phrasing. These are probably the most
When
important
you say
things.
vowel shaping?
Vowel shaping means different vowels can create different effects. Like for example, what you heard in Agasate is probably going to be very different from the next one. I'll probably ask them to sing that and then you'll understand the difference.
Right.
Yeah. So can we show them that? So this is a piece that we performed for Sushin Sham for the popular movie Manumel Boys.
Oh,
this is
lovely.
one of the key cues in the background score in the climax of the film that comes. Yeah. 1, 2, 3.
Wow, that drama is really being recreated.
So it's just a simple air vowel, but the kind of projection that you give and the kind of space that you create. There are different ways of singing an A.
Right.
If in an operatic setting, if you would sing A, it'll sound very different. In operatic or Western kind of a typical choir sound, we usually ask singers to imagine vertical space.
Okay.
So you kind of create a vertical space instead of an A. But this we wanted more like a raw, and also because that Indian element is there in it, and we wanted it to be very twangy, very kind of on the face kind of a thing.
Right.
And that's why we chose to make it a little spread, kind of a thing. So a simple shift in how you shape a vowel creates a huge difference in the soundscape.
Can alter the sound and bring out a very different effect,
very different effect. Yeah. So it's just small things. Now here also, all the phrasing is very different. Like how the altos, how their part phrasing is compared to how they phrase again, there are multiple melodies and parts happening.
Right.
So everything, starts at a different place. Yeah.
Okay. No, but when we also watch it on big screen with the visual drama and this enhancing that thrill, right? It's amazing. Thank you, Kalyani. This has been such an enriching session. I know there's so much more that goes into it, but you've given us...
We could take a week long of demos to explain and still we'll fall short.
Absolutely, but you've offered us a really valuable glimpse into the work you do and the world of choral music and ensemble music. So I must thank you very much. Thank you. Really thank your team as well.
One last time I'd like to introduce all of them.
Please, definitely.
From the basses, Neeraj and Sham, Shiv Sundar and Chirag, Shruti, Ananya, altos, and these are the sopranos, Sushmita, Alisha and Aparna. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, all of you, for this wonderful demo and performance, and we really appreciate it. Thank you so much.